Disney thinks they can sneak some narration past me by singing it. These seagulls flying overhead were drawn here because they have a keen sense of when history's being made. Also, just to be clear, there were 3 ships, not just one. The Discovery, the Godspeed, and the Susan Constant. Here's a guy who often has to tell people my eyes are up here, fellas.
Are you coming on this voyage too?
How is this new information? Also, who knew John Smith was a Dolce & Gabbana model? I love watching Disney history.
That's right. I'm not about to let you boys have all the fun.
Mel Gibson using his patented Australianish American accent for an English character. Here's the thing, storms just don't creep up on ships. Sailors would be able to see when they would be nearing a storm and would prepare. Yet, here they are scrambling with the sails mid-storm. Even through these extreme winds, these guys up on the mast are not falling to their deaths.
John! Get down here! The cannons are breaking loose!
Being able to hear that well from that far away in a massive storm. Also, the smallest guy on the ship was able to stop this extremely heavy cannon from moving any further. Excessive swashbuckling. Also, John Smith must also have the same rope burn resistant skin that kept Tarzan's hands and feet safe during his movie. Well, here's some unholy bullshit that I don't even need to check the history books about. John Smith, Aquaman. He can find lost sailors at night on stormy seas using his telepathy powers and fish Twitter. Also, since this voyage is happening in the winter, I'm going to guess this movie ends right here, with both of these guys dying of hypothermia. Ah yes, the villainous Governor John Ratcliffe. I could spot him anywhere with his trademark purple outfit and snobby pug dog, just like in all the paintings.
A stirring oration, sir.
This guy.
I'll need those witless peasants to dig up my gold.
Governor Ratcliffe wasn't going to the New World for gold. He was partnering with John Smith to remove Edward Wingfield from the... You know what? I'm just going to add 10 cents for the loose interpretation of history throughout this movie.
Leave the savages to me.
The native tribes were strong and were known for scalping people, and John Smith thinks he can tackle an entire tribe?
We'll kill ourselves an engine, or maybe 2 or 3.
It's weird. I get kicked out of all the parties I attend when I start any song this way. John Smith pokes a liquor barrel for free-flowing booze, but more than half the booze will be on deck by the time this is over. I mean, this is a colossal waste of wine. Roughly translated, these lyrics say, another glorious day without European settlers. Back in 1607, cornfields were populated by nothing but beautiful women. The only recognizable human moment in the entire film. This, everyone, is Pocahontas. She was a runway model who was highly adept at 20th century makeup. A leap that should put her in the cliff diving record books. No wonder she and Smith hit it off. They both have weird jumping powers. Also, this giant leap off a cliff gives surface tension the finger. The raccoon and hummingbird are dead, right? This is working for me?
Nico?
Disney makes rodents of the night that eat our garbage cute, and potentially encourages kids everywhere to want one as a pet.
Come on, Flick.
Pocahontas has amazing dead bird finding skills. That person's fist made a perfect bear paw print. This movie is anti-nipple for men, and anti-nose for the women.
Now, I've been having a very strange dream. I think it's telling me something's about to happen. Something exciting.
Or something as terrible as a bunch of white men coming, bringing war and disease. One of the two. I imagine that all this extra Flit and Miko slapstick was added after the first screening of the film because they realized how boring all this is.
Even the wild mountain stream must someday join the big river.
As the river cuts his path.
Movie is finding any excuse to start singing, and movie is wrong. Man, her jump scare resistance is on point. What is the fascination Disney has with all the wildlife in an area being attracted to the local princess and their songs? I mean, being kind and good is one thing. Being Dr. Dolittle is another. They all survive this. Because Kocoum doesn't have actual nipples, his bear paws just look like giant nipples. Does everyone get to talk to the genius tree, or only Pocahontas? Is it possible she ate some berries that she wasn't supposed to eat?
Oh, a dream. Let's hear all about it.
Who invited these f***ers? Disney overload. This fog is threatened by this tree, even though the only part of it that can move is its face.
Seems to me this spinning arrow is pointing you down your path.
Grandmother Willow is full of and also carpenter ants.
Your mother asked me the very same question.
What did you tell her?
To listen.
Then she died.
Listen with your heart.
Well, that settles it, Dad. I talked to the willow down the river, and it sang to me to follow my heart. So I'm not marrying Kocoum based on deciduous tree advice. Fresh fruit and flowers on months-long sea voyage.
King James sees the gold these peasants unearth. Success will be mine at last.
This line reading killed 5 animators.
I've never seen anything like it.
They have coastlines and forests in England, Thomas. You gotta get out of London more.
We didn't come all this way just to look at it.
We came all this way to f*** it up. Funny that Disney decided not to talk about how John Smith was charged with mutiny on this trip. But hey, they need this guy to kill savages, so I guess he was given a pass.
What are you doing up there?
Getting a better look.
Disappearing gun. And that's the story of how Pocahontas thought John Smith had a hot butt. I can forgive John Smith for not wondering why this nocturnal animal is running around in the daytime, because they aren't native to England, but I'm definitely wondering it.
You got a friend back there?
Is John used to this type of friendly animal f***ery back home? Smoke movies. That's the wrong flag. The red X representing Ireland wouldn't be added until 1801. And there's no reason to make that mistake, since they already used the right one for 1607 at the beginning of the movie. This f***ing raccoon just found a tree that somehow hangs over this ship just so he can get into some hijinks, and it makes me angry. Never trust a guy who can store 8 shovels in his cape. They've been here for 2 minutes and this irrigation system is already here.
And I don't plan them.
A vine out of nowhere, attached to nothing. This multi-tiered mountain of digging sailors looks inefficient for generally most purposes. John can hold water in his hands long enough to properly examine an impossible reflection. Pocahontas is conveniently hot, so John doesn't shoot her. It's damn impressive that his matchlock musket was able to stay lit after hopping through that waterfall.
You don't understand a word I'm saying, do you?
No, people who speak different languages tend not to understand one another. This is what happens when attractive people touch for the first time.
Listen with your heart, you will understand.
Language barriers solved with willow tree music magic. Pocahontas and John Smith now create a swirling barrier of some sort that keeps all homely people out.
My name is Pocahontas.
Did she just speak English even though she's never heard English before now? Or am I just understanding her language suddenly? Or did Disney just phone this movie in? Ratcliffe shoots one of these warriors in what appears to be his knee, but he comes down grabbing his hamstring, shot in the back of the leg with a magic curving bullet. And then this guy decides, I've got this gun, how about I try beating him with it? John's savage acceptance level has gone through the roof after a quick meeting with Pocahontas. It is not widely known that hummingbirds are the cockblockers of the animal kingdom.
Compass?
It tells you how to find your way when you get lost. But it's all right. I'll get another one in London.
There's no way I'll need it while I'm here.
We've improved the lives of savages all over the world.
Citation needed.
Let go!
No, I'm not letting you leave.
Even in a romantic, whitewashed children's movie, John Smith is basically history's biggest creep. John Smith only gets minor ouchies from this.
You think I'm an ignorant savage?
You know you done f***ed up when someone sings their argument to you. Mama Bear doesn't repeatedly maul Pocahontas for stealing one of her cubs to show to a white dude she definitely hasn't vetted.
Or ask the grinning bobcat why he grinned.
And that was the birth of the Cheshire Cat.
Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
That sounds nice, but it's complete nonsense.
We are all connected to each other.
At least Circle of Life admitted that animals get eaten. Neither of their arms are severely gashed by these large birds of prey's talons. Are we sure Pocahontas didn't feed Smith any mushrooms before this musical number? Because that would explain a lot. Movie thinks it can just throw Pride Rock into itself and it will be as good as Lion King. Jeez, this song started off with Pocahontas saying, "You're an awful person," but by the end of it, they're almost kissing. This is sending me mixed messages that will destroy my college years.
Please, don't leave.
I'm sorry.
Huh, usually my blonde hair, blue eye trick works in these situations.
We shot ourselves an Indian, or maybe 2 or 3.
John bristles from that song now, because he knows Indians have the capability of being attractive. Doggy Bone Carousel.
What am I overlooking?
Well, Virginia's not on that map, for one.
It's the gold. They have it, and they don't want us to take it from them.
Why would the governor think that the savages have any interest in gold? Moose in coastal Virginia. Geez, that's the heaviest biscuit ever made. And if so, Flit is dead.
And to think we came all this way just to dig it up for gold.
Gold?
Pocahontas is unsure what gold is, despite knowing fluent English and all its nuances through tree sorcery.
What was that?
I'm fairly certain now that this movie is just a giant John Smith drug trip. It's amazing that John gets to experience all the wonders of the New World just because he befriended Pocahontas and is less terrible than all the other people he came with.
My bark is worse than my bite.
Hey, owls, that's my job.
He has a good soul.
Apparently, an epic Burning Man experience with a hot girl cancels out a lifetime of murdering natives in the name of adventure.
Smith, where are you, mate?
These two guys quickly happen upon Smith even though he is deep in the forest.
I want to see him again.
Who wouldn't? I want to see him again.
That's enough of the horny old willow tree is a sentence I never thought would need saying. Yet, here we are.
Oh, John, I could have killed you.
Not aiming like that, you couldn't.
How did Thomas survive long enough to even make it to America? He sucks at everything.
But this is their land.
Said no colonist ever.
What is it?
They had corn in England during this time, right?
Pocahontas, please. You're my best friend. I don't want you to get hurt.
This is why Disney heroes usually only have animal friends. Smart humans will try to talk you out of whatever dangerous hero shit you're about to engage in.
What about them?
So small at first. Then look how they grow.
You see, water ripples are a lot like telling your racist friends not to attack a group of people who aren't like them. So there. The guy who's in love with John Smith and the guy who's in love with Pocahontas just happen to stumble on them making out at the same time. Ratcliffe throws a whole bunch of guns to his men and they all miraculously catch one. Man-made smoke that looks like clouds clash into each other and create lightning. Good of the tribe to leave an easy path for Pocahontas so she can block this execution. The story of Pocahontas saving Smith from execution came from John Smith himself. John Smith also had a story about being bought as a slave and his master sent him as a present to his favorite Greek mistress. Smith said that the mistress fell in love with him. So let's just say we've got an unreliable narrator at best. Looks like John Smith's boner is caught between a rock and a hard place.
I love him, Father.
We sang and danced for a couple days. That's the longest relationship I've ever been in. Invisible bullet. And that's how the local native tribes were forced to give all their food to the inept settlement. The end.
What pain? I've had worse pain than this.
I heard that even in a cartoon, Mel Gibson needed to suffer in the movie some way, or else he wouldn't have done this.
I thought you didn't like strangers.
I was going to send this moment for John saying Flit still thinks of him as a stranger after all this time, but then I remembered a grown man is talking to a hummingbird. And for some reason, the dog is no longer an asshole. What the f***ing is this f***ery? Is she sending him magic from the forest? I'll always love you. Now here's some leaves. And nothing bad happened between Native Americans and colonists ever again.
Son of a bitch, you left the bodies and you only moved the headstones! I did a Peter Pan right here off of this dam, right here!
What were you doing up there?
Well, I'm just sitting up here thinking, you know?
Gold. Mountains of it.
I love gold!
Marriage is just, it's a piece of paper.
Where I'm from, it's the way one says I love you.
I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty.
Robert Frost said, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference.
If you listen, they will guide you.
If you build it, he will come.
You think you own whatever land you land on.
Nigger, you can't claim us. We live here. 500 million of us. Do you have a flag?
Is that what you call a proposal?
I love you. Always have. I want to marry you.
Sir, close that at once. Do you mind?
Suppose I asked you to marry me, what would you say? Why do you shrink from me? Won't you say yes? This isn't what I expected.